I have some notes here before we start. This is the fourth year, I'm trying to do my math, the fourth year of our countdown to 2016. So 2016, our Easter commemoration should be on your calendars already. There's going to be quite a crowd. You might not get in that year. That is the Countdown to 2016 is our program that was started by our beloved Brian Morrow-Wheel. He wanted the diaspora like us and the people around the world to really, really commemorate 1916 in 2016, the 100th anniversary. So this is our countdown, and we have 3 more years. And I guess we would like to begin with a moment of silence now that I have everybody silent, but to kind of bring yourselves in your mind to why we're here and what we're trying to do by remembering our past in Ireland in the defense of an Irish Republic. Well done, you all sounded great. Mike has the recorder going. One of the things that people do around the world, as you know, they're doing what we're doing, coming together at Easter to commemorate, is to make sure that they read the Proclamation. Those of us that were at the cemetery, we read it in Irish, or it was read to us in Irish. And now I'm going to call upon Brigid Farrell to come to read the proclamation for us here now. Brigid is a lifelong supporter of the 1916 Republic. She's a native of County Armagh, and she was one of the first people here in New York to lead the last campaign in the streets here in the 60s. Brigid is also our 2013 USA Cower Awardee.
Yesterday I heard Gerry McGill say that the prisoners of Maghaberry were not allowed to wear the Easter lily. So I think it would be a wonderful thing if we all dedicated our ability and our freedom to wear the Easter lily today for those who are unable to wear the Easter lily and who must have very sad and lonely hearts today as we sit here together. Thank you. Irish men, and the other thing I want to say is when I received this proclamation, the mail this week from Mike, I thought what a humbling experience it is to read the words that were said that morning by such brave men and women who went out for Irish freedom. Gerry McGill again gave a wonderful description of that time in Irish history yesterday, and for anybody who has it in front of them, I'd like you also to read along. Irish men and Irish women, in the name of God and of the dead generations from which she receives her old tradition of nationhood, Ireland, through us, summons her children to her flag and strikes for her freedom. Having organized and trained her manhood through her secret revolutionary organization, the Irish Republican Brotherhood, and through her open military organizations, the Irish Volunteers and the Irish Citizen Army, having patiently perfected her discipline, having resolutely waited for the right moment to reveal itself, she now seizes that moment, and supported by her exiled children in America and by gallant allies in Europe, but relying in the first on her own strength, she strikes in full confidence of victory. We declare the right of the people of Ireland to the ownership of Ireland, the unfettered control of Irish destinies, to be sovereign and indefensible. The long usurpation of that right by the foreign people and government has not extinguished the right, nor can it ever be extinguished except by the destruction of the Irish people. In every generation, the Irish
Tom.
In every generation, the Irish people have assessed their right to national freedom and sovereignty. 6 times during the last 300 years, they have asserted it to arms. Standing on that fundamental right, and again, assessing it in arms in the face of the world, we hereby proclaim the Irish Republic as a sovereign, independent state. And we pledge our lives and the lives of our comrades in arms to the cause of its freedom, of its welfare, and of its exaltation among the nations. The Irish Republic is entitled to, and thereby claims, the allegiance of every Irish man and Irish woman. The Republic guarantees religious and civil liberty, equal rights and equal opportunities to all its citizens, and declares its resolve to pursue the happiness and prosperity of the whole nation and all of its parts, cherishing all of the children of the nation equally and oblivious of the differences carefully fostered by an alien government, which has divided a minority from the majority in the past. Until our arms have brought the opportune moment for the establishment of a permanent national representative of the whole people of Ireland, and elected by the suffrages of all her men and women, the provisional government thereby constituted will administer the civil and military affairs of the Republic in trust for the people. We place the cause of the Irish Republic under the protection of the Most High God, whose blessings we invoke upon our arms, and we pray that no one who serves that cause will dishonor it by cowardice, inhumanity, or rapine. In this superior hour, the Irish nation must, by its valor and discipline, and by the readiness of its children to sacrifice themselves for the common good, prove itself worthy of the august destiny to which it is called. Signed on behalf of the Provisional Government, Thomas J. Clarke, Seán MacDiarmada, Thomas McDonough, P.H. Pearce, Eamon Kent, James Connolly, Joseph Plunkett, the signatories of the Proclamation of Independence.
And now we'll call on Joseph Flaherty. Joseph is a member of Cumla Saoirse, all the way from Waterbury, Connecticut. Hero status for coming to the Yonkers today. Joseph is going to deliver read the 1916. I'm sorry. What is Irish Republicanism? And we're fortunate to have this. This document was written by Rory O'Brada and published in the Irish Independent in 1970. Rory is, of course, the patron of Republican Sinn Féin and co-author of the Aaron Nua Alternative.
We will not be reading this full document this morning, but it is in your programs for your benefit. I encourage you to read it, take it in. This morning, we're reading kind of an overview of what the document says, put in our own words, and giving a little history of Irish republicanism and what it means to be an Irish Republican in defense of the legitimate All-Ireland Republic. On Easter Monday, April 24th, 1916, shortly after the noon hour, Pádraig McPherson, a young man dressed in the military uniform of the Irish Volunteers, proceeded to read the Proclamation of the Irish Republic on the steps of the previously occupied General Post Office in Dublin. The 32-county Irish Republic immediately became a living entity. That scene at the GPO has been faithfully reenacted all over the world on every Easter since 1916. And it was and remains the defining moment in modern Irish history, proclaiming Ireland's right as an independent sovereign nation. The proclamation was signed by Thomas J. Clarke, Seán MacDiarmada, Thomas McDonough, P.H. Pearce, Eamon Kent, James Connolly, and Joseph Plunkett. That first tier, so to speak, all of whom were executed after the Rising. Republicans won the 1918 general election, taking 79% of the vote and officially ratifying the All-Ireland Republic. The Proclamation of 1916 to the treaty negotiations was a high mark, a great and giddy time for Ireland. The Republicans won the election and ratified the Republic, the war, and more importantly, they ran the government over most of Ireland. They ran their own affairs and an efficient government in the name of the All-Ireland Republic. For 4 years, they overcame the strongest army in the world. Post-treaty Ireland saw the return of the Brits back to the country as the unseen hand, and 6 counties lost. The second Dáil Éireann, which was convened on August 6, 1921, was fired upon by the self-proclaimed Free State. This so-called Free State had officially usurped the legitimate Irish Republic, proclaimed in arms Easter Monday, 1916. The Free State government, undoubtedly guided from assistance from the unseen hand of the British, was and is responsible for what can only be described as nothing short of war crimes. I give the example of Ballyseedy, where 9 Republican prisoners were tied to a landmine that was then detonated, after which any survivors were machine-gunned down, just to be sure. One man, Stephen Fuller, was blown to safety, and despite being badly injured, he survived to tell the tale of the massacre.
As everyone here knows, the signatories of the Proclamation in 1916 knew full well the outcome, the most likely outcome of their, sacrifices would be death. And I'm going to now call upon Pat Devlin from Danbury, Connecticut, to read the tribute to the executed signatories of the Proclamation 1916.
Okay, hello everyone. Good afternoon. Happy Easter. Here's the executed signatories, and it's just a little bit about it. The Easter Rising of 1916 was an armed uprising of Irish nationalists against British rule in Ireland. The uprising occurred on Easter Monday, April 24th, 1916, and centered mainly in Dublin. The aim of the uprising was to achieve political freedom in a 32-county Irish republic. The uprising began when about 2,000 men, led by Padraig Pearse, seized control of the General Post Office in Dublin and other strategic targets throughout the city. Shortly after the initial deployments, at 4 minutes past noon, Pearse read the Proclamation of the Irish Republic from the steps of the GPO and announced the establishment of a provisional government of the Irish Republic. Throughout the night of April 24th, the rebels occupied additional positions, and by the morning of April 25th, they controlled a considerable part of the city. The British counteroffensive began on Tuesday with the arrival of reinforcements. Martial law was proclaimed throughout Ireland. Bitter street fighting took place throughout the city, during which time the strengthened British forces dislodged the Irish from their positions. By the morning of April 29th, the post office building, site of the rebel headquarters, was under violent attack. Recognizing the futility of further resistance, Pearse surrendered in the afternoon of April 29th. But, his message lives on, and as he said back then, all changed utterly. A terrible beauty was born. Thank you.
Thank you, Pat. Again, part of our countdown, we take one of the signatories and we highlight them. So now I'm going to call upon Dan Sullivan to read the tribute to Seán MacDiarmada from County Leitrim.
Seán MacDiarmada was born in 1884, Kilty, Flatharta, Leitrim. MacDiarmada emigrated to Glasgow in 1900 and from there to Belfast in 1902, where he worked on the trams. A member of the Gaelic League, he was very active in Dungannon clubs and Bulmer Hobson and Dennis McCullough. He joined the Irish Republican Brotherhood in 1906 while still in Belfast. As these formed into Sinn Féin, he was a tireless organizer for the party in its early years. Later, he joined transferring to Dublin, where he developed a close and personal political friendship with Thomas Clark. He gave lectures in Glasgow and Edinburgh and suffered physical abuse, especially in parts of Ireland, where Hibernians and Irish Parliamentary Party were strong. He was unrelenting in his organization of the IRB, and through his travels across Ireland, he became the movement's best known and popular personality. He ran the IRB newspaper, Irish Freedom, in 1910. Although MacDiarmada was afflicted with polio in 1912, he was appointed as a member of the Provisional Committee of Irish Volunteers from 1913 and was Secretary of the Supreme Council of the IRB, member of the Military Council and member of the Provisional Government. He was stationed at the GPO during the Rising, and he was executed on 12 May 1916.
Now going to ask Gerry Enright, a native of County Limerick and a resident of New York. Gerry is going to read another tribute to the executed leaders of 1916.
In addition to the other signatories of the Proclamation, the British executed 9 other leaders of the Rising. 8 of those were executed by firing squad, and 1, Roger Casement, by hanging. The only leader to lose his life in action was Michael O'Reilly. There seemed to be no particular pattern in who was executed and who was spared. Eamon de Valera, who was one of 4 battalion commanders, was spared, while William Pearce, Patrick's aide-de-camp, was shot simply because he was Patrick's brother. Although those gallant men were not signatories to the Proclamation, they nonetheless went forth placing trust in the Almighty, as so eloquently stated in the last paragraph of the Proclamation. We place the cause of the Irish Republic under the protection of the Most High God, whose blessing we invoke upon our arms, and we pray that no one who serves that cause will dishonour it by cowardice, inhumanity, or rapine. In this supreme hour, the Irish nation must, by its valour and discipline, and by the readiness of its children to sacrifice themselves for the common good, prove itself worthy of the august destiny to which it is called.
Thanks, Gerry. Okay, now I'm going to call on Maighréad Dhubhda. I have English and Irish here. Maighréad is the daughter of our longtime supporters, Seamus and Maureen. Maighréad is going to read the poem as well.
Major John McBride, 1865, was born in Westport and trained as a doctor. McBride abandoned that profession in favor of work as a chemist. He traveled to America in 1896 and supported the IRB before immigrating to South Africa, where he became a naturalized citizen of the Transvaal. When England attacked the Boer Republic, McBride was commissioned as a major in the Irish Brigade to aid the Boers in their struggle to maintain independence. When the war was over, he went on a lecturing tour in the United States. From the States, he went to Paris and returned to Dublin. McBride married the Irish nationalist Maud Gunn in 1903. He was not a member of the Irish Volunteers, but offered his services to rising leader Thomas McDonagh, and was at Jacob's Biscuit Factory when the post was surrendered on Sunday, April 30th, 1916. He was executed on May 5th at Kilmainham. He asked not to have his hands tied behind his back, but this was refused. When they did cover his eyes, he made a similar request, remarking to the priest, "You know, Father, I have often looked down their guns before."
Thank you. Thank you. call upon Vic Sackett.
I guess she's got it up there.
Vic, I have your sheet here.
Thank you.
Vic is a member of Cumla Saoirse and also AOH and a big supporter of Irish freedom. Yeah.
Good morning and happy Easter. It is a great honor that we, the Republican POWs in Maghaberry, have this opportunity once again to address you, the people of Ireland, and abroad on this, the 97th anniversary of the 1916 Rising. We extend Easter greetings to our comrades, friends, and supporters, not just in Ireland, but throughout the world. We would also like to thank Republican Sinn Féin and Cabhair for all the work done on our behalf. We extend special greetings to our families whose support is invaluable. To our comrades on the outside, we extend hearty congratulations and admiration on your continued defiance of British rule. Your efforts to build the Republican movement in the face of adversity is a testimony to your courage and principles. It is clear to see that the legacy of the 1916 Rising lives on. Only by standing firm to the principles of genuine republicanism will we see our country realize its destiny as a free nation. The legacy of the insurrection in 1916 and the sacrifices made by so many Irish patriots has inspired us to withstand the dreadful conditions of our imprisonment. We are aware that we are only the latest generation of Irish Republicans who have been imprisoned for struggling to free our country, and we take encouragement from those who have gone before us. As prisoners of war, we find ourselves incarcerated due to British rule in Ireland. Your efforts and actions give us great hope. We affirm that Irish republicanism is alive and vibrant, kept alive by people like you. As Republican prisoners of war, we will not shy away from our duty, and we salute all those in Ireland and abroad who work towards the independence of Ireland by any means necessary. With 3 years to go until the centenary of the historic Easter Rising, we are confident that our comrades will remain resolute in their attempts to drive the British occupation forces from our country. We pledge our allegiance to the leadership of the Republican movement and urge all our people to stand with us in our fight against British imperialism. On Public Naboo, signed, O.C. Maghaberry, March 2013.
A couple of nice treats now. One is I'm going to ask Brigid Farrell to come back and read a poem written by her sister-in-law, Mary Brannigan. The poem is in reference and in tribute to Bobby Sands.
Marion lives in right on the border in Dundalk, just across the border. She's from Culligan, across the Midland area. And of course she was very active during the Bobby Sands during the hunger strike. And we all remember well how we waited and waited through that terrible hunger strike. And finally, on that awful night, we got the news that Bobby Sands had died. So, and even worse, we knew how many men were behind or back of him, suffering that tremendous pain of the hunger that they suffered in Longcash. So this was something that was published just last year in a local publication from the Dundalk Poets. It's called Hawaii. The news gurgles through the pipes, flooding the streets with whistle alarms and clanging dustbin lids. Candles flicker in Duleek. A piper laments in Manhattan. A street is renamed in Tehran. Along the marshes of the Boyne, a haunting tune resonates. A curlew spreads the news. Bobby Sands is dead.
Later special parts of today where we're going to read another poem. This poem is Yeats' poem 1916, and we are honored and delighted to have it read to us this morning by Joan Messina, Brian Moore's lifelong heartbeat. Joan?
Easter 1916. I have met them at close of day, coming with vivid faces, from counter or desk, among gray 18th century houses. I have passed with a nod of the head, or polite meaningless words, or have lingered a while and said polite meaningless words, and thought, before I had done, of a mocking tale or a jibe, to please a companion around the fire of the fun, being certain that they and I but lived where motley was worn. All changed, changed utterly. A terrible beauty is born. Was it needless death after all? For England may keep faith for all that is done and said. We know their dream, enough to know they dreamed and are dead. And what if excessive love bewildered them till they died? I write it out in a verse, MacDonagh and McBride, and Connolly and Pierce, now and in time to be, wherever green is worn, are changed, changed utterly. A terrible beauty is born.
And there in history, and to officially thank Thomas and Mike Costello for working on that. They do so much work behind the scenes, but really we want to thank you sincerely for getting it together for us. And especially the parts that you put in there and then don't tell me. But anyway, there's a lot of history in there, and we're all very happy that Mike and Thomas always make sure they remember the women of 1916, and they are
Nation freeman, for Greece and Rome who bravely stood, 300 men and 3 women. And then I prayed I yet might see our fetters rent in twain, and Ireland long of Robin's speak, and nation once again, a nation once again, a nation once again, and Ireland long of Robin's speak, a nation once again. And from that time, through wildest woe, that hope has shone of our light, nor could love's brightest summer glow outshine that solemn starlight. It seemed to watch above my head in forum, field, and fane, and an angel's voice rang round my head, a nation once again, a nation once again, a nation once again, and Ireland long a province be, a nation once again. It whispered too that freedom's art and service high and holy would be profane, my feelings dark and passions vain or lonely. For freedom comes from God's right hand and needs a godly train, and righteous men must make our land a nation once again, a nation once again, a nation once again, and Ireland long a province be, a nation once nation once again, a nation once again, and Ireland long a province be, a nation once again.
Thank you, Mary. Thanks, everyone.
I just left Ireland at the end of January. Just before I left in RTE, they did a 4-part series at Fordham Law School, Lincoln Center, I think, campus. They're going to have the tribunal to investigate, was it a war crime, was it genocide, that England did nothing for the famine. And it's April, you should Google it, tribunal, famine tribunal. And they just put up the information that it's April, I think, 18, 19, something like that. I think it's a Friday, Saturday, but you have to Google it to find out. I see nothing about registering it. It was supposed to be in October, but so many